Welcome to Carpentry and Joinery department. By names, I'm called Afayo Nixon, instructor in Carpentry and Joinery. Now, what we mean by Carpentry and Joinery is a way of making tables, chairs, stools, using some of the tools like the planes, this one, hacksaws, squares, now saws, measuring tape, those ones. Now, before we go further, we do any kind of work. What we first need to do is we first need to know some of the rules in a workshop before we start any kind of work. The first thing, whether you have not started or you have finished the work, you have to make sure that your workshop is clean. Secondly, you have to make sure that you put on protective gears. You need to put on protective shoes like this, even protective clothing like this. You also need to put on these caps, and even ear goggles. You also need to put them such that you can be able to protect yourself. Thirdly, in a workshop, things like playing, fighting have not to be there in a workshop. Another one is you must have to make sure that you use the tools according to where it is supposed to be used. Like if this one is a cross-cut saw, which means we use it for cross-cutting. Like if this one is a timber, this one is the length, which means cross-cutting means you use only this one for cross-cutting, like this. This one is for ripping along the grain. It means you have to follow the manufacturer manufacturer rules also where they are supposed to use. Once you are in a workshop, if there is any kind of injury happens in a workshop, you need to approach the instructor or the person responsible such that he can be able to give you a kind of help against such kind of injuries. I think those are the areas where once you start any kind of work in a workshop, you must have to follow all those points I've given. The next step, we are going to look at the tools used in a workshop. I think these tools are also divided in various ways. Like these ones, those tools which are used for holding and supporting tools. What we mean by holding and supporting tools, we can now talk of bench vise. Now this one here. Whereby we can use it for holding maybe a piece when you are cutting either a joint or else you are even ripping. It helps you along that line. Another one is also workshop bench, which is this one here, which can also use it for keeping the tools like this. Another holding and supporting tools you can talk of also sash cramps. And then another one is what we call decram, whereby once you happen to cut maybe a kind of also joint, you first hold it with that decram, which will help you and guide you to cut it very well. Another different groups of tools is what we call geometrical tools. Now when we talk of geometrical tools, we cannot talk of these ones, the measuring tapes, the straight edge. We can talk of the sliding bevel. We can talk of the squares, this one here. Another group of tools include also percussion tools, where these percussion tools are those tools which are used for nailing or else for mortising, like a mallet, hammer. Another group of tools is what we call the embedding tools. Now, what we mean by embedding tools, we now talked of the nails, the screws. We have another one which is what we call then boring tools. Now, if we talk of boring tools, we can now talk of these bits, which are used for making holes. Now, all those are the categories of tools we are going to use. Another one is what we call these ones, planing machines, what we call smoothing plane. These ones, smoothing planes. They have also different types, smoothing plane, jack plane. Then another type of a tool is what we call the mortise gauge. This one here, there are of two types. We have the mortise gauge, which they have two tips like this, whereby if you happen to mark, it shows 2 lines, but the other type is having 1 tip, which we can be able to use for make lines only. Then there is this one, which we can also use it for making holes, the drills. Now, those are the various types of tools. Now, we are going to learn about now how to make a chair. Without a nail, a glue, all those ones, you can't put them. You first assemble it just dry. Then you fix the joints. After fixing the joints, then you also use a sascram. You use a sascram such that the joints fits well. You cannot fix a joint without cramping it. Then after cramping them, then you nail using a nail and a hammer. And when you are nailing it, you have to make sure that you need to nail it at least of this size, such that this top of the nail will not appear. It does look like as if you have not nailed for good appearance. Now the next step is now you come and sandpaper. After sandpapering, now you come and apply a stain material where you can be able to change the color of the timber, or else you can even just use a varnish minus applying a stain. Then that will mark the end of making a chair.